we all use ChatGPT, right? There is now a GPT to create ransomware. There's a GPT to create malware. And you can actually buy ransomware as a service.
What? Kan, welcome to Talent Matters.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. I've had a very brisk walk here and a long journey.
You got your steps in.
I got my steps
What's
in.
on your step counter?
Jesus, here we go. 11,000.
Wow. 9,000.
Okay, there we
I
go.
better walk around the.
By the time we get to Curry Club tonight, I'm sure.
I know. Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, how are you? Other than having a brisk walk.
Yeah,
All
feeling great. Pumped up, doing my usual Microsoft 365 stuff.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Super.
Well, thank you for coming on. It's going to be a good one. We're going to but maybe are we going to get a bit geeky? Are we going to kind of cover some?
We're going to keep it best of both.
Best of both. Okay, I like it. Okay, well, let's not wait then, shall we? So, who are you?
Okay.
What do you do? And let's start with those.
So, I don't need to say my name. I'm Kan. I am, a ex-IT manager, head of IT. Worked within industry, within SMEs for 16 years. 10 of those within the recruitment sector, in kind of big healthcare recruitment companies like MSI and TFS Healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Did my time in the trenches, worked alongside the recruiters, got to know their pains and aches and stuff like that. But also, most importantly, throughout those 16 years, I worked with managed service providers like myself now. A managed service provider is someone who provides IT support services to companies.
Acronym of MSP.
MSPs, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And they've got a bit of a reputation. And I've seen that reputation firsthand over these 16 years. And that is finding a good one's like a needle in the haystack sometimes. And it's like tossing a coin when you go and do these selection processes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done that selection process number of times over these 16 years.
Where
I've hired MSPs to work with us. And my journey started back in 2008, fresh out of university, entered an SME, about 50-person company, events management, stayed there for about 8 years, worked my way up from an IT guy, IT bod, mm-hmm. to the head of IT for that company. Then moved on to recruitment, to a much bigger organization at the time, about 150 users. And then did a short stint in accountancy for about a company with about 800 users. Ran out of budgets, I guess, in that sense, and whatever it was, or I wanted to go back into recruitment. So did something else in recruitment for another couple of years, and then started off my own thing, because consistently over those years, MSPs failed to deliver on what they promised. So at the start, they would say, right, we'll do this, that, and everything. But when it came down to it, you either left on the hook waiting for a callback that probably took hours to get there. They would say that you needed these products to keep yourself secure, mm-hmm. or products to make yourself more efficient, but didn't tell you what you already had.
Yeah.
Right? Or would sell products like, for example, Cisco Meraki kit, whereas you could buy other service provider material for cheaper and could do the same trick.
Yeah.
And this was all motivated by, obviously, as everything else in business, it's money motivated. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was like, well, SMEs run on tight budgets. And if you're going to bleed them with bloated tech budgets, then they're not really utilizing money in other things that can actually produce revenue for them, like marketing or sales or whatever it is. So I said, you know what? I've had enough of dealing with MSPs who don't deliver what they're supposed to deliver, and I'll go and do it myself.
I'm going to set up my own.
I'm going to set up my own.
Yeah.
Not to bleed SMEs dry,
no.
but to kind of bring a breath of fresh air to the industry.
Yeah.
And also, one of the products that I fell in love with, which was Microsoft 365. Mm-hmm. to show companies that they're only utilizing about 30% of its entire capability when they use things like Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Some people don't even use the PowerPoint part, but typically everyone uses Outlook. Some people are scared of Teams, but they don't quite understand that there's a whole hidden world of potential there locked away.
We're going to talk about that, aren't we?
And we're going to talk about that. And so my mission's been to unleash Microsoft 365 to help businesses, big and small, make the most of it.
Within recruitment.
Within recruitment, as
Mostly,
well as, SMEs.
Yeah.
But majority of our focus is recruitment.
Yeah. Well, it's a delight to have you on. We met at the Curry Club in London a few months back. So that was when we got chatting and started talking about what you're doing, which is pretty cool. And so to kind of break that down, and we chucked in some acronyms in there already, and whatever. If you are a recruitment business, and a lot of recruitment businesses tend to be SMEs themselves, and being a little bit stereotypical, most recruitment business owners worked in another recruitment business and then did quite well and then got almost slightly different to what you've done, but right, I'm going to go and start my own business now.
Yes.
And quite often don't have that IT background or maybe experience or even the resource or to be able to manage that themselves. So breaking it down, being really, really simple, am I right in thinking that you could come along and go, I'll help you with all of that stuff. You just run your business, and I'll make sure that everything works.
Yeah.
Is that as is that as simple as it?
It is as simple as it gets. So I have a jumper that I walk around in, which I'm not wearing today, but I say focus on growth and leave the IT to us, essentially.
Yeah.
So
why didn't you wear it today?
I was on a train for an hour and walking around Reading.
How much advertising could you have done
I know. It's a missed opportunity. That's it. But yes, so focus on growth, less downtime, essentially. And, business owners should be focusing on what they're best at, which is generating revenue, right? Mm-hmm. And not on putting out fires in IT. Yeah. Or trying to kind of tinker with stuff they don't quite, dabble in things that they don't quite understand. Yeah. Not that they don't understand it, but there are better ways to do it.
It takes up time, doesn't
Correct.
it? And, this is not... most people watching or listening are not going to be able to relate to this because this was so long ago. But when I started Wave and just had my single computer, my biggest single fear was always if that computer broke. And occasionally it would crash, and all this sort of stuff. And if it crashed, then I was, I had a couple of mates that I could ring that could try and help me out. But it would be hours of time that would just screw everything up. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have, anyone like you or your business to call upon. So, that kind of focus on growth thing, I think it's really true, isn't it? Because if something doesn't work,
that's you down for the day.
It's a problem.
It is a problem. And, this is the thing. In my years of experience, downtime is probably the biggest growth drainer there is out there. People say when they hear cybersecurity said so many times, and I've seen posts where people have said on LinkedIn, if I hear the word cybersecurity again this week, I'll lose my pot. Yeah. Right? But the thing is, you need to pay attention to it. Right? And, you're talking about fear of downtime. There's two ways you could go down. One is obviously using hardware that's probably well past its sell-by date. That could easily give way at any point. Or you purchase something that's not quite fit for purpose. Because you bought the cheapest thing that you could find.
That was what I did.
Right? and then the other part is obviously these cybersecurity threats, and we spoke about the C word and the R word and what else, but there's a lot of bad actors out there, and I'm not talking about actors like me who played the Easter Bunny recently, but actors are people who would come in and try and get into your systems or cause havoc. And a lot of these guys just are teenagers, right? They spray and they pray that something lands, right? So it doesn't have to be that you're a multi-million pound company. They've found your details on the dark web, which could go out there by you getting phished from that phishing email because you didn't put the adequate protection in, right? And suddenly, 16-year-old guy sat behind a laptop has your username and password for your computer, or your emails, or your Microsoft 365. Logs in. You haven't set up your, should I say, two-factor authentication or any sort of prevention techniques that are out there within the products we're going to talk about later. And he's now undone everything you've done for the last 5-10 years with one delete button.
So I've got two things. One, I can't be the only one in the world that hates two-factor authentication.
Okay.
Every time I want to log into a system, I've got to go onto my phone and get a code to put it in there every single time. Okay. I can't be the only one that it drives nuts.
No, of course.
I just want to log into a system.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, unfortunately, there are teenagers, like I said, who've got nothing better to do than to try and make your day a living misery. Because they extort money from you. Ransomware. And nowadays, ransomware isn't just about encrypting your files or deleting your computer systems or whatever it is, but it's about taking a backup of your data and spewing it on the dark web. And of course, now with these hefty fines of GDPR and the ICO and everything else, that's a risk for your business. Okay. Talking of two-factor authentication, it isn't anymore the most secure method of logging in. So there's something called passwordless sign-in, which is, security keys or even using your fingerprint.
Now that's better.
That's
better. I think with the two-factor authentication, I'm talking as a user. Not what you're saying is valid, obviously, but that user experience of two-factor authentication is dreadful. It's dreadful. Using your fingerprint to log in, much better. Even like on your phones when you get your banking app and you turn on biometrics, that's much better than having to get that little key thing out where you have to put your debit card in and put in your PIN. That's dreadful user experience. And I suppose this is the battle, isn't it, between being safe and secure and going through something like that, or going the easy option and not doing it.
So companies like Microsoft and others out there are moving towards something called passwordless authentication. So you use something you have, like your biometrics, or a security key, which is a physical USB stick that looks like a pen drive that you stick onto your computer. And off you go, basically.
That's much better.
So I'll show you later after this how I sign in. Right. So I have two methods of signing in, either through the USB key that I have, or through the Authenticator app. But essentially, I don't have to put a password in, and I don't have to put my username in. So I'll show you that later.
Okay.
So there are these methods out there, but the reason these methods are currently secure, but tomorrow, those methods that were secure today may no longer be secure.
Because that's the game that
it's a cat and mouse game.
All the time.
And sometimes they're actually ahead of us than we are of them.
Now the other thing is, I don't want to turn this podcast into a kind of playing devil's advocate and like questioning stuff. Right. I'm just going to tell you how I kind of feel. But I know some people, they'll say, but I'm just a 4-man, recruitment business. No one's going to be interested in my information. But that's not true, is it?
Well, they're not. They're not interested in what your business is. They just happen to come across your details somewhere because you were phished at some point, because they just send millions of these emails out. It's like taking a hook, going fishing one day, and then, all right, I got one fish. It may not be the biggest fish in the pond, but I got something. And I get a picture with it, right? So that's what they do, right? Some of these things where they go against these big organizations are well engineered. But if you get lucky with a 4-person recruitment company, then well, at least you've done something.
Because they can still extort and extract money from you, even if it's 100 quid.
Yeah, because it's funny, right? So we all use ChatGPT, right? There is now a GPT to create ransomware. There's a GPT to create malware, and you can actually buy ransomware as a service.
What?
So you can buy a bit of code or pay someone, like you go on Fiverr and you pay someone to do something. It's quite funny how these businesses are multi-million-dollar outfits that run out of sweatshops somewhere in the world. It doesn't have to be Africa. It doesn't have to be India. It doesn't have to be Pakistan. It can be anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? You can have you could go on there onto the dark web and buy a ransomware as a service, right? And you could target your competitors. All right. No tips. No tips.
No. I'm saying that's been
that's not part of your marketing.
That's been vetoed. Yeah.
Okay.
That's not going to be allowed.
Right.
But maybe we'll talk after. No, that's that. I can't believe so. That's because again, all of these things you would assume that are just being made, in a dark room, someone with their hood up, coding away. The fact that it's an actual business where you can go,
it's like a vending shop.
I'll go and have
that
virus.
5 of those, 3 of those, yeah. Put it in my shopping basket, checkout, yeah. Bitcoin.
That's that's mad. Let's not go down this
slippery road.
We're going down this rabbit hole. Okay, so there's that side of things in terms of being secure. So you help with that. So that's the first thing, presumably as a baseline. I'm going to firstly help you not get hooked, hacked, fished, whatever it is,
yes.
Caught by whatever it is. So that'll be the first thing I'm going to try and help you with. But more, on the brighter side of things, you're going to help people be more efficient. And so Microsoft is your area of strength, expertise,
correct.
Interest, whatever it is. Has it always been Microsoft, or have you looked at other things? Why did you? How have you landed there?
Right, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you always been an Apple guy? I mean, since smartphones became smartphones,
so I was an Apple guy for the first iPhone.
Right.
Or the first real iPhone, the second one.
I'm looking around this room and I can see an awful lot of Apple kit.
Yeah, that's Luis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually a Samsung guy.
All right, okay.
Easier target, yeah, I guess. That's why I've got authenticators everywhere. So no, I haven't. So I've sort of flip-flopped from one to the other. Okay. But why? Me? Why do you ask that?
No, I just ask it because sometimes people stick to a certain thing that they are comfortable with.
Yeah.
And
like Luis, he's just Apple everything.
I've always been a Microsoft
Doesn't
guy.
even eat oranges.
Okay, no oranges.
He wouldn't even touch an orange or a pear.
Oh.
It's got to be an apple.
And that's a good analogy, actually. How do you choose, when you get a quote from an MSP, how do you differentiate between an apple, an orange, and a pear? Because every single support package out there is different.
Because we were talking about this before we start recording.
We'll come back to that. But let's get back to this thing about why I'm a Microsoft guy. Well, Microsoft has been around for 50 years.
Yeah.
Right? It is probably the biggest product when it comes to computers out there in the market, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you've got Google. Yes, you've got Apple. Yes, you've got Linux, right? Mm-hmm. But the vast majority of people still use Microsoft products. Mm-hmm. And so I've just thought, well, I like Microsoft because I've always ever grown up with Microsoft. I started building my first PC when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
And that was back in the 90s. And that was a Windows 95, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I've never... I have an Apple in my bag at the moment because we set up Microsoft products on Apple devices as well.
Yeah, because that's also a myth in itself that you can't have Microsoft products on an Apple,
correct,
on a Mac.
Correct. It wasn't a myth actually. you could have Microsoft products on Apple in the past, but it was extremely fiddly.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like some point last year, Microsoft have actually invested a lot of time in making sure that their products actually work well on Apple devices.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, they're going to lose market share to Google and the other likes, right? Because Google's got their own versions. But yeah, that's why I've been a Microsoft fan, because I've grown up around Microsoft, and as well as the fact that, you know, it is the biggest productivity tool that everyone uses.
Yeah.
Not to mention how cool Microsoft 365 is.
Tell me about how cool Microsoft 365 is.
So everyone uses it. Oh, most people use it for their emails, and if they don't, they should, right? But they only utilize things like Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, perhaps. The odd person might use OneNote, and so on. But there's a hidden world of different products available inside Microsoft. Starting off with the base package, which is the Business Basic, going all the way up to the Business Premium.
Yeah.
We tend to find that the Business Premium package is the best value for money, because it takes care of not only your productivity suite, but also your security. So remember when we said security ensures that you can be productive to continue growing your business?
Yeah.
Well, your productivity package they're paying for, if you're paying for Business Premium, already contains all that security that you need to ensure that you can continue to be productive.
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about this when we met, actually, and maybe not a lot of people know this, and I certainly didn't. But you will correct me, I'm sure. But my my understanding is that the security that you get within that current package, in essence, means you don't need
anything else,
a separate virus tool or anything like that.
No, exactly.
But not most people will have Norton or something like that.
Yeah, so people will have, you know, Kaspersky, Norton, I don't know, whatever they get off the stores, or whatever the MSP puts in, things like SentinelOne. Yeah. So one of the things is, how do you know that you're optimally licensed, right, with these products? If you've got a Business Basic or Business Standard package going on, and you're paying on your invoice for loads of different items like antivirus products, email security products, you know, everything else that you can imagine, maybe even Calendly and, you know, Monday.com or Slack, or, you know, you're paying for Zoom.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably overspending.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you've got Business Premium, which is at the moment £17.79 roughly, or 75, I can't remember exactly, but around that range, you get included your storage, which is a terabyte of storage for every user. You get emails with unlimited archiving. So if you're paying for archiving separately, then you probably don't need it, because you get 1.5 terabytes of storage for emails within your Business Premium package.
Yeah.
You get enterprise grade email protection, so nothing's going to get through that. Well, I say nothing, but most things won't get through it. There is going to be the odd occasion that something wrinkles through.
Yeah.
But you get email protection. You get antivirus protection, which is actually not antivirus, but it's called EDR. So it uses AI and stuff to kind of analyze things that are going on. You get device management, which means you can ensure that all your devices are streamlined, same setup, get their updates on time, can get locked out if, you know, in recruitment, we know that people come and go all the time. But with a single Business Premium package per user, it can manage up to 5 devices for that user. So say they have a desktop in the office, a laptop at home, a mobile phone on the go. All those devices can be managed through Microsoft 365. And should they decide to leave the organization on bad terms, well, you can hit one button and kind of boop, no more access to that data. So you don't lose your data with the person.
Yeah.
If it was properly set up, obviously. Just buying the package doesn't ensure that you're secure or that you're as productive as you can. Now, other than those things that I mentioned, the other things are productivity tools. People don't know that there's something called Planner, which is like a Monday.com, right? And you can plan your projects as Kanban boards where you can move things around. Absolutely brilliant. You've got something called Lists, which is like a mini database. So you can actually literally create within 5 minutes something called Lists. which is like some recruitment agencies still, perhaps, if they don't use CRMs or if they're working outside of CRMs, they use Excel spreadsheets with colorful tabs and whatever else it is with statuses and stuff.
Yeah.
Or you can build that within lists. Then there's something called forms. You may use SurveyMonkey or Cognito forms or whatever it is, but you've got some powerful tool inside called forms that has branching and everything else there as well. The other things to do. People write down their to-do list on a piece of paper. There you go. To do, every time you flag an email, every time you assign yourself a task on Planner, or you create a to-do list item, falls into a to-do list, which can be seen on your Outlook and sends you notifications and so on. So there's that. And bookings, people pay for Calendly. Well, Microsoft has bookings that is similar to the paid version of Calendly. So you don't need to pay for something like that. Other than that, obviously the OneDrive for storage, which is 1 terabyte of storage per person. And there's the biggest tool that probably people don't know much about is something similar to Zapier, which is Power Automate. So what Power Automate does is it sits behind the scenes of all these other apps, and you can create automated workflows. Say, for example, you receive a CV in an email, or there's a CV's inbox.
Mm-hmm.
CV falls into CV's inbox. Power Automate goes in, grabs that CV, whacks it into a folder somewhere, triggers another flow that does a few other things. Or it could be a form that you got on, I don't know, maybe it's a registration for the curry club.
Yeah.
Right? Person fills in the details, submits a registration. That can trigger off emails. It can trigger off, putting that details into that list that you've created in Microsoft Lists. And of course, once the status has changed from pending to confirmed, that could then also trigger off another set of procedures. But there's also things like approval workflows. We know that there are compliance approval flows within recruitment companies.
Mm-hmm.
And you can automate all of that through Power Automate. So say candidate starts the onboarding process. You've got to go through and get all these checks done and stuff. That needs to then be reviewed by a compliance auditor or whoever it is within the organization. Well, they've done it, they've approved it. That can then be stored onto a list or whatever it is, or trigger out emails to say this candidate is now ready for work.
Yeah.
So all of these can be built very easily through automations inside Power Automate. And Power Automate doesn't just integrate with stuff inside Microsoft 365, but there are other connectors to other tools outside of Microsoft 365.
So what you're in essence saying is that most of the other tools that, not most, but a lot of the tools that a recruitment business could have right now, at 10 quid a month or £15 a month or whatever else it is, potentially, if with a little bit of compromise or a little bit of adjustment, a bit of time, they could be saving quite a substantial sum.
Yes. So, classic example: people use Calendly instead of bookings.
Yeah.
People use Dropbox when they've got OneDrive and
Yeah.
SharePoint. They don't understand that they have this tool there,
Yeah.
so they pay for Dropbox subscription. And I've come across that in several businesses.
Yeah.
Then there's the other thing about phone systems, right? You have Teams, which is a communications app, right? People use Teams maybe for chats or internal meetings or external meetings. But Teams with an add-on is a fully fledged phone system. And the best part is it's a monthly rolling sort of phone system.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, as you know, with other phone systems, you pay for setup charges, you're locked in for 3 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But with £15.50 at the moment, you can get a fully fledged phone system within Microsoft Teams that gives you unlimited, well, not unlimited, 3,000 minutes to the UK.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yep. And you
Didn't
can
know
have
most of this, to be fair.
You can have switchboards. You can make even if you're a one-man band, you can make your business look bigger because you have a switchboard suddenly. You have automated answering service and whatever it is.
You have dial one.
Dial
for
one for account.
Dial two for fun.
Hi, it's Can.
Keep going through to the same.
Hi, it's Can.
When it was just me, I actually made up a fictitious accounts person.
Okay. Wave from Dave.
Nearly. It was and so whenever, because sometimes it's a bit awkward I did have separate emails, but it's a bit awkward being the customer-facing person and then being the person chasing for money afterwards. So I made up an alias for a while. So
007.
Could have used that if dial 1 for Dave, dial 2 for John.
So going back to the discussion, we have device management, and I mentioned that earlier. And this is a feature that's the most underutilized feature within 365. And you can literally have one of the, like I said, in recruitment businesses, that door is always churning around with new staff coming in and old staff going out.
Yeah.
And so there's two processes that are quite time sensitive. Getting that new starter ready on time and making sure that lever has been decommissioned properly. And I often find that levers who've left 3 months ago are still on certain systems because the decommission hasn't been done properly, which leads to two things. One, obviously, is a security risk.
Yeah.
Because they'll still have access to stuff that you had in your organization.
Yeah.
And with all these dispersed systems around, right, are you going to make sure that you've locked down access to their Calendly account, their Zapier account, their Slack account, and so on?
There'll always be something you miss, right?
Correct. And because of the fact that people don't understand or know or make use of all the products within the stack, which again comes down to centralized control, right? You can control all of that. You now have decentralized control with people doing something called shadow IT, we call it. So which means if they can't find a tool or they don't know that their tool exists, they'll go register with their own personal accounts or whatever it is for, I don't know, ChatGTP. They might be uploading all your sensitive documents onto ChatGTP. And on the free accounts, that's now training the ChatGTP bot in the background.
Yeah.
And that could lead to data leaks.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if you had everything controlled with Microsoft 365 and you give them access to all these things like bookings or Slack Planner and so on, well, when they're terminated, you can lock out access to all of that. So it's one click. But coming back to that thing about device management, right? It's not only about turning things off, but turning things back on. So you have a new starter starts on Monday. Okay, you get a ticket today. Right, fine, it's Thursday. We'll set them up. Well, you don't have to go sit there physically at a desk and install the programs and set up all the user stuff. There's a program in Microsoft 365 called Intune, which you can use to deploy devices through a process called autopilot. You allocate a device to a user. You have a preset list of software and settings that apply to that device. As long as it's connected to the internet, the admin presses a few buttons and the device starts building itself. And within about 45 minutes, an hour, it's done. It's ready. It says, "Welcome, Dave."
Yeah.
And you put your password in. And off you go.
Very cool. And a lot of this, again, going back to a recruiter or recruitment business, they're not going to necessarily know
how to set those up.
They'll just do it the way they've always done it.
And one of the biggest things, again, coming back down to device control and security and stuff, I find if you go to a recruitment agency that's not had a proper IT investment or IT partner in place, you'll have users who have admin access to their own devices, which causes...
There's a problem.
Well, that's how you get hacked sometimes, because they click on a link that downloads something that can install automatically. Yeah. And before you know it, half your database is encrypted.
Yeah.
And that's happened. I've seen it happen firsthand, right? Many years ago, when ransomware was first starting out, literally the company that I worked for at the time was down for 3 days. And this is over 100 users not being able to do their work for 3 days.
Wow.
I've heard it from other people in my company currently who work for me, who've witnessed it firsthand themselves a couple of times. It happened over and over again because they didn't learn the first time, or the MSP didn't put the right processes to stop it from happening the next time. It's because things like, for example, I need to have full control of my device, right? You can have admin rights. Or, okay, you can use whatever device you like. So there's no control over those things. And then what happens is they click on something, or they do something, or they get an email with an attachment that looks legitimate. They open
Something
it.
gets left. The door gets left open.
Door is left open.
Yeah, yeah. So, kind of conscious of time, but we talked about, how to choose. Like there's more than one MSP, and if you're a small recruiter, again, you're not going to necessarily have the time or resource or whatever it is to go do a full pitch process. What are maybe some of the key things that they should be asking or looking out for when choosing, an IT partner to kind of sort them out?
Okay, so first and foremost is do your research, go online, search for reviews that on that particular partner. I often find that recommendations go a long way.
Yeah.
So if someone's recommended that they're doing a good job, but don't always take things for face value. For example, when you're going through that selection process, if they present you with a quote, question the line items.
Yeah.
So why have you told me to use business standard instead of business premium, for example?
Yeah.
Why am I paying for email security instead of using Defender for Business, which is part of Microsoft 365?
Yeah.
So it's part of...
But they might not know that.
They might not know that.
This is the challenge, right?
This is the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we come in to try and educate people that there is a choice, right? It's down to also, like, for example, get a few of their customers, speak to them about how their service has been, because it's sometimes people may not be as worried about the costs, but they might be worried about the service levels, right? So speak to their existing customers, look at Google reviews, try, if there's a bad review left, try and find out if you can get hold of that person and have a chat. And that's it, really. I mean, like I said at the start of this thing, you never know till the person starts if they're going to be a good hire or a bad hire. Just like in recruiting someone, right? And for me, they could blow you out of the park in the selection process, right? And they could probably put forward 5 of their best references to speak to. But at the end of the day, you never know till you start. And one of the things I say is never sign a long-term contract. Always make sure that your contract is flexible. Most suppliers will probably at minimum do a 12-month contract. There are some suppliers out there that I've seen that do rolling monthlies and quarterly contracts, which will be more expensive. But if you're worried about committing to long-term contracts, which I would advise you should be if you aren't worried, because usually what tends to happen is service levels might be good for the first 3-6 months, and then they tail off.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck for 3 years. And I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And then, you can't get out.
Yeah.
So you always have a choice. Do your research well, and don't sign up for long-term contracts.
Yeah.
That's my advice when selecting, because you'll never know till they start.
Yeah.
Right? They could give you the world. Like I said, I got fed up of people selling you the world and not delivering. And that's exactly where I started.
And it's really interesting about the long-term contract thing as well, because like you said, they could put really good people, and give you a really high level of service for the first 3 months. And then after that, just, sort of put the juniors on it, or you become a training account or something like that, which, may not be what you want.
And another thing is that, so going to the biggest supplier in terms of IT support may not necessarily be the best thing for your company. If you're a small small recruitment company, most of these MSPs don't look at anything below like 10 users or 5 users because it's too much hassle for them than it's worth.
Yeah.
Try and find, there's 11,000 other MSPs out there in the UK. So if you're looking for an MSP, you look for someone who's got customers of your size.
Yeah.
I tend to find an MSP with 5 to 25 staff probably provide a better, more personalized service than one that has 500 staff, for example.
Yeah.
And usually the ones who are bigger will try and sell you more products, whereas the smaller ones will probably try and give you more value.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I suppose you're looking for someone that's in line with your values as well. So,
Correct.
if you're a small business, you're probably going to be more aligned to a smaller supplier than a big one.
The other thing I wanted to say there was around industry experience. And when I was an IT manager within the events industry, the managers the owners of the company like, we need to find an MSP with events industry experience. There is truth to that to a degree. IT is IT everywhere. However, having that industry knowledge gives them a bit of an edge because they understand your unique worries and concerns.
Yeah. And again, something that they can relate to.
Correct.
That when you're saying you've got this or this, if you're talking about recruitment and suddenly you're talking about clients and candidates, at least they have some level of appreciation.
Yeah.
Good. Kan?
Yes.
We're kind of
smashed
through all of a variety of different things there, but I think
one last thing I would like
value
to put in before we finish or wrap up.
Well, let's see. Go on then.
Copilot.
Yes, AI.
We couldn't do IT. We couldn't.
I thought I could finish it without AI.
No, not without AI. We have to.
Come on, it's taken over the world. We're all going to be out of jobs. Recruitment's dead. Job board's dead. Everything you could possibly need. Don't need you. Don't need me. AI is going to do the lot.
Yeah. So, with that said, we spoke we spoke about how Microsoft 365, this massive product that people just know the tip of the iceberg of.
Yeah.
Now, they released in 2023 something called Copilot.
Yeah.
And Copilot, I've now been using for just over a year.
That's like ChatGPT.
It's like ChatGPT, but it's inside your Microsoft 365.
Yeah.
I mentioned all those apps, right?
Yeah.
Copilot has access to all of those apps.
Okay, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing because you can use it to customize your emails because it can go and find. Can I go and find all the historical conversations I've had with Dave from Wave and generate a new email that I'm going to retouch or touch base with Dave 6 months later and bring up stuff that we spoke about previously? Well, it'll draft an email based on all your conversations. It learns how you write and it can look and sound just like you over time. The other part is it can sit on your Teams meetings. Well, it sits in the background, transcribing everything you speak and everything everyone else speaks and generates notes. So no more need for things like Fathom or Quill.
Yeah.
Right? It can even sit on those phone calls that you have outbound. Yeah. Right? If you had the Teams phone system. And it's also got AI agents. So that's a topic for a completely different time. I talk about it all the time on LinkedIn. So if you're following me, just keep an eye out for those things.
Yeah, or just ask the question.
Just ask. I'm not going to bite anyone's head off. And one thing I say, Dave, to everyone is I'm not a salesperson because I'm always a techie.
Yeah.
I'm a techie at heart. I'll always be a techie.
Yeah.
I don't sell. Honestly, I don't sell.
I think from that it's like kind of short time that we've known each other, I think I can testify for that. But you're clearly very intelligent and passionate when it comes to those products that you're talking about. So people should definitely, if anyone is watching and interested,
I don't sell because all I'm telling you to do is open your bonnet, see what's inside it.
Yeah.
Because you're already paying for it.
Yeah.
So I'm not selling.
You're saving.
I'm saving.
Yeah.
There we go.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for coming on, Kan. That's been enlightening. There's been a lot there that we can take away from that, and people can get in touch with you as and when they want to if they've got anything else to ask.
Indeed,
I'm
yes.
sure. So super.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming on. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kan.
Cheers. Nice for having me.